You know what's strange about injustice? It never announces itself. It doesn't show up screaming. Most of the time it walks up to your window, taps the glass, and speaks in a calm, bored voice like it's done this 1,000 times before. That's how this started. Just another drive home, just another night until it wasn't. Until one decision turned into a chain reaction that would burn 2 lives in completely different directions. I remember thinking about nothing important at all, honestly. I'd had a long day, the kind where your head feels heavy and your body's already halfway home before your car is. Red light, green light, radio low. And then I saw it in the mirror, red and blue, filling up the back of my car like fireworks I didn't ask for. You know that feeling, right? That little pause in your chest. Not fear exactly, more like awareness. I pulled over slow and clean the way I've done hundreds of times. Hands on the wheel, dome light on, window down, the whole routine. Muscle memory. The officer walked up like he already knew how this was going to end. Flashlight straight in my face even though the interior light was on. Not looking around, not scanning, just looking at me. That's when I knew this wasn't about a traffic violation. That look wasn't curiosity. It was judgment. License and registration. I nodded. Calm voice. Before I move, officer, I need to let you know my credentials are on me. He didn't respond. Just stood there, light burning my eyes. Your windows are illegally tinted. I blinked, took a breath. They're at 32%. State law allows 35%. And this is a federally registered vehicle. His jaw tightened. You could almost hear the gears grinding. I'll decide what's legal. And there it was. That moment when the stop stopped being about the car. It became about him. About control. About who gets to be right just because they're standing instead of sitting. I explained again, slower, clearer. I told him who I was, told him where I worked, told him everything could be verified with one radio call. He laughed. Not a big laugh, just a sharp little sound like I'd said something cute. Everyone's a cop when they get pulled over. I've heard that tone before. I'd spent years sitting across from officers who used it when they thought they were untouchable. Years watching videos where things went wrong because someone decided not to listen. I didn't raise my voice, didn't argue, I just repeated myself. Name, badge, division, again and again. Each time felt heavier, like I was stacking bricks on my own chest. Out of the car. I hesitated for half a second. Not because I didn't want to comply, but because I knew once I stepped out, the story could go anywhere. Still I did it. Slow. Deliberate. I announced every movement, told him exactly where my credentials were. Right pocket, moving slowly, hands visible. You know what I mean. The kind of compliance you hope everyone can see. That's when he yelled it. Loud, clear, like he was performing for an audience. Gun, he's reaching for a gun. Time stretched. That sentence hit me harder than anything else, because it wasn't fear, it was a script. I'd read it in reports, heard it in depositions. That line people use when they've already decided what they're about to do. There is no gun in my pocket, I said. My service weapon is secured in the vehicle. I'm complying. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. He had already decided. Get on the ground. I did the math in my head. Resistance would only make it worse. Compliance might hurt, but it might keep me alive. Survival first, accountability later. So I knelt. Hands up, voice steady even though my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it. I'm kneeling. My hands are visible. I'm not reaching for anything. The taser hit me like a freight train. 50,000 volts tore through my body and locked every muscle at once. My legs gave out. My face smashed into the pavement. Pain exploded behind my eyes, electric and blinding. I couldn't scream, couldn't move, couldn't even breathe right. There was blood in my mouth. I remember thinking, this is how people die, on the ground, doing everything right. The shock stopped. 5 seconds, felt like a lifetime. I tried to inhale, tried to say something. Nothing worked. Then it hit me again. The second taser wasn't confusion. It wasn't fear. It was punishment. My body convulsed against the concrete hands nowhere near my torso, face pressed down, completely helpless. Silence, ringing in my ears, my lungs burned. And then I heard him calm, now almost casual. Let's see how tough you are. The third taser ripped through me before I could even process the words. Somewhere in all that, my credentials fell out. Leather case hit the ground, flipped open. Badge shining under the gas station lights. Photo ID clear as day. Proof I'd been trying to show him the entire time. He stepped right over it. Didn't even look down. He cuffed me while my body was still shaking, still trying to remember how to breathe. My cheek was pressed into the pavement. Blood pooled underneath me. The badge lay 3 feet from my face untouched, willfully ignored. He keyed his radio, one in custody. Suspect was combative, reached for a weapon. Yeah, that happened. A lie spoken calmly sliding straight into the system like it belonged there. People stood around us frozen. A man washing his car stopped, eyes wet, hand slowly lifting in a quiet salute I couldn't see. Another guy in a worn military cap clenched his fists, then let them go. Two customers held their phones steady, recording, saying nothing because they knew how fast that could turn on them too. Backup arrived a few minutes later. One officer stepped out, older, quieter. He scanned the scene, then noticed the leather case on the ground, picked it up, opened it. His face changed instantly. These are federal credentials. The officer who tased me snatched them back, stared at the badge, the seal, the photo. The color drained from his face like someone pulled a plug. Authority collapsed in real time. You could see it. The posture changed. The confidence evaporated. Another officer ran the plates. This vehicle's registered to a federal agency. The air shifted. Suddenly voices got softer, movements slower, radios busier. Someone called for a supervisor. Someone else called a field office. I finally found my voice weak but clear. I want everything documented. Secure the body camera footage. This is now a federal investigation. That was the twist. The moment everything flipped, I was still bleeding, still cuffed, still on the ground. But I was no longer the suspect. He was. Within minutes, the gas station turned into a command post. Supervisors, internal affairs, federal agents, body cameras collected, evidence logged, chain of custody established, no more improvising. The footage told the truth better than I ever could. It showed me complying, announcing every movement, identifying myself over and over. It showed him shouting gun when there wasn't one. It showed 3 taser deployments on a compliant, incapacitated man. And it captured those words crystal clear. Let's see how tough you are. Investigators measured the window tint. 32%. Legal. Not even close. They dug into his history. Dozens of similar stops. Same excuse. Same pattern. Mostly minorities. Mostly dismissed citations. Complaints buried. Warnings ignored. The kind of misconduct that survives because nobody wants to look too closely. The charges came fast. Assault under color of law, civil rights violations, false reporting, obstruction. The trial didn't take long. The defense tried everything. Fear, stress, split-second decisions. The video erased it all. The jury watched, listened. 90 minutes later, guilty on every count. The judge didn't yell at sentencing. She didn't have to. Her words were calm, precise, devastating. You fabricated a violation. You escalated to violence. You assaulted an incapacitated man. This was not policing. This was abuse of power. 12 years, no parole. Certification revoked. Pension gone. People ask me if that felt like justice. Honestly, it felt overdue. I filed a civil suit. The money was significant, sure, but that wasn't the point. The reforms were independent oversight, mandatory body cameras, early warning systems, supervisors removed, training rewritten, departments across the country took notes. That mattered more than any check ever could. I went back to work months later, promoted, teaching now, standing in front of rooms full of new officers and agents telling them a story I wish I didn't have to tell, but know I must. I tell them badges don't grant immunity. They grant responsibility. I tell them how fast a bad decision can destroy 2 lives at once. And here's the part I can't stop thinking about. I had credentials, training, cameras everywhere. It still took 3 taser deployments and overwhelming evidence for accountability to show up. So what happens to people who don't have those things? If you've ever been judged before you spoke, if you've ever felt power lean on you just because it could, if you've ever watched something wrong happen and stayed silent because you were afraid, you're already part of this story. Tell me what you think. Was this justice or was it long overdue? What should happen to supervisors who ignore warning signs? Drop your thoughts below. Share your own experiences. And if you believe accountability matters, subscribe.